You are watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftacademy.com. www.netsoftacademy.com.
So now let's start with lab number 35. So lab number 35, we are going to create our second infrastructure titled netsoftacademy.com. Remember the send and receive connectors that we were creating earlier. Now this is where we are going to create our entire new infrastructure that is identical to this. So let me start off by creating my first virtual machine here. Now again, we are not changing any settings, we're just following through the same exact sequence of steps that we did earlier. This will be a Windows Server 2025 machine. I'll install the operating system later. Now the machine name would be Nita ADDS 02. I'm going to browse. So remember, we created all of our virtual machines in the Exchange Labs folder here. I'm going to make a new folder, name it Nita ADDS 02. Next, BIOS. Next, not changing anything here. I'm going to bump it up to 4 GB, just for the sake of making sure that my life is a little bit easier and it works a little bit faster. But apart from that, nothing else. Next, nothing to change here. Here I'll select SCSI. Next, store it as a single virtual disk. Now, in my case, I don't have all the storage space that I want to promise it. So it could show me an error because my machine is running on a different setting configuration altogether. But you should follow what the book recommends and you should do everything that you think that is necessary. Now, before we do anything else, I'm going to edit the virtual machine settings, select my CD/DVD SATA, use the ISO image, click on browse. Now I have all of my files in one location where I can easily access them. So I select Windows Server 2025 here, the ISO file, click on OK, and I power on this virtual machine. Now this will be the installation process is very much similar to how we did the previous installations. So I'll just speed my way through it, and once it is done, I'll show you what to do next. Yep. So here we are. It has started now. Next. I agree to everything. Now we are installing Windows Server, right? We are not removing or we're not repairing anything. Next. Now this will ask us to select which version we want. I'm going to select the data center desktop experience. Next. Now, does it make a difference? Not really. Does it not make a difference? Yes, not really. Both the answers are not really from my perspective here. So I selected my space and now it will start installing. I'll wait for the installation to complete. Restart, and then we will look at the next steps after that. Okay, so now at this point, my machine has installed properly and has restarted. I'm going to log in. So the password I'm going to set is again password 1350, no change there, and password 1350, and finish. Now once this is done, we're going to rename the machine. We're going to do two things. We're going to rename the machine. I'm also going to install the VMware tools right away and restart the machine then. That way, I don't have to restart it multiple times and I could just move ahead with my next few steps. So I'm going to log in first, password 1350. Now, there might be a question in your mind, what exactly am I doing with my existing virtual machines that you can see them here? I could, if I wanted to, I could literally suspend one virtual machine if I'm not using it. And maybe even the second one. If I don't need it right now, I can suspend it. Remember, suspending is different, shutting down is different. I do not recommend shutting down, I just say suspend. So that you can conserve your resources, you can actually focus more energy towards, or more of your system resources towards setting up your infrastructure and getting it right in the very first go. But this does come with its own set of challenges. So you would want to be careful with this. I don't want you to rush through it. I don't want you to stumble or feel a little bit left out because of it, or feel that your computer is underpowered, but it is a good idea to manage your resources wisely, no matter how much you have. So now I'll just wait for this to complete the entire process, and then we'll look at the next steps. Yeah, you can see this here. You can see this. Now, me being me, I generally don't like this entire segment here. That, hey, what data should we send? Should we send data or not? I don't like Microsoft collecting my data. Because anyway, it's the updates and everything, they are doing it on their own. They do a lot of stuff, and this is going to be a completely offline machine. So for me, it doesn't make any sense, no matter what I select. All right, so this is the server manager here. I click on local server first. Now, there are two ways of renaming the machine. Remember that not two, there are multiple ways actually. So one way is you could just quickly go to settings, and you can see that it is still processing in the background. You know this because it is still running things. It is still taking forever for things to load up. See? So right here, you can see this right here, that you can rename the virtual machine right away from here. You click on rename. You click on rename and it will show you the window that, oh, hey, what do you want the new name to be? Now I'll have to wait a little bit. I'll have to be a little bit patient with this because right now at this point, you can see that it is a little bit tricky. So I can just rename it right here. So this is ADDS02. Yes. Now this is one way of doing it. The other way is I scroll to the very bottom under system, click on about, click on domain or work group, click on change, and I can change it from here. Two methods. The third method, which I personally use the most, is on the local server. I just directly click on the computer name here and I click on change and I change it. Now, all of these three methods lead to the same location. Don't worry. Now, the book recommends another method. So you go to File Explorer. The book recommends another method. You go to File Explorer, right click this PC, click on Properties, and that will again take you back to the same page on the settings, this thing that we were on here. And then you click Domain or Workgroup and then you change it. Depends on how you want to do it. I personally want to do my things very conveniently from one location, and that for me is this one. So now, okay, don't change the domain or workgroup. You need to change the virtual machine name. So Nita ADDS02. Okay. All right. So I'll wait for this to complete the task. Okay, done. So I'm not going to restart the machine right now. I'm going to install my VMware tools on this machine, because I would like to do my ADS installation with my VMware tools all set up properly. You see, way too many things, right? Way too many ways of doing the same task, even. So that is one advantage of this. Now I click on autoplay, run setup. Now, in case the setup does not work, you could always right click on go to this PC, right click, and you can just open it with autoplay as you need to. If you need to, so right click. And I generally work with autoplay, but if it doesn't work, then just open it, find the setup, run the setup. Simple. It's not too complicated, if I'm being quite honest. It is the easier part of the setup. So I just went with the most standard installation, nothing fancy, no changes here. So I'll complete this installation, I'll restart the machine, and then we will move ahead with all of the other settings, that is the IP addresses and the other settings as necessary. Okay, finish. Now I'm going to say yes. Now my virtual machine is restarting. Now remember, this is only my ADDS. I still have to build my entire infrastructure from this point onwards. And it is going to be a little bit of a longer process even for you. So make sure that you can simplify the steps as much as possible for your own sake, so that you don't feel completely overwhelmed by this entire process of, oh my God, what exactly are we doing? All right, I'm waiting for this. As you can see, it has restarted. Now we start with our domains of ADDS installations and all those things here, which all of you are pretty much familiar with. And if you're not familiar, the process is very, very straightforward. You change the IP address of the machine, then you install, then you add the roles and features, and then you select Active Directory Domain Services, and then you promote the server to a domain controller. Then that's it. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. Remember that. You can see the waves and everything. In general, the interface is pretty nice. I'll agree. But if you're used to the older Windows Server 2022 or 2019 or 2016 interface, this feels a little bit laggy. It doesn't have the same kind of crisp nature. All right, so local server. But one thing that this server does come in with, and let me actually also, while you're here, and if you are like me, you don't like looking at things that are too zoomed in, you can just go to your display settings. If it is if the resolution is maxed out and you know your resolution, then you can always zoom in a little bit by increasing the scaling. This way you can see everything properly. All right, so IP address Ethernet 0. You select Ethernet 0. And yeah, one thing, it's all the background processes are too heavy for this server operating system. It's like too bloated. That's one more complaint I have. Remember, these are all personal complaints that I have. These are nothing to do with the product not being good or bad. So the IP address I'm using is 172.16.10.20, 172.16.10.1, and yes, the gateway would be 23255, not 2. 172.16.10.20. Okay, okay, done. We go to dashboard now. Add roles and features. 3 nexts. We are not changing anything anywhere. But after this next here, and this is the first time that this kind of delay is happening here. Generally, it is very quick to get to the next step where for server roles. We are going to select the server role for select the server role for Active Directory Domain Services. Now I'll just give it a quick minute. And while this is loading up here, you could alternatively click on Tools, navigate to Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. And again, most of it is just because of this processing in the background. You can see the blue bar here, right? It's just those things that are making it a little bit difficult. Click on Properties and turn off the firewall. Now, do I recommend turning off the firewall? Absolutely not. In this scenario, if you turn off the firewall, does it affect anything? And the answer is no. I'm very much against disabling firewall anywhere, but I'm going to do what I need to do. All right. So for this one, I select Active Directory Domain Services. It asks me to add features. I select Add Features. It's next and then install. Now I'll wait for this to complete installation. Once the installation is done, then we'll promote the server to a domain controller. So my ADDS installation is done. I'm going to close this. Click on the flag here, promote the server to a domain controller. Now, this one, it's going to be a new forest in its own. So under this, I'll select new forest and my domain name is going to be netsoftakademy.com. Next. Now, you might be thinking, where have we seen this name before? You have seen this name before when we were creating the send and receive connectors. And this is the infrastructure that we'll be creating for that. Password 1350, password 1350. Next, next. Now there's nothing to do more. We just click next until we get to install and then we wait for it to complete the installation here. Next. 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 Once the prerequisite checks are done, and in case we have done everything correct, this should work flawlessly for us. And install. Now I'll wait for the server to complete installation, but at this point, this is the end of the lab here. All we are waiting for this to do is for it to restart. So we'll wait for it to restart. We'll end the lab here, and then we'll pick up from the next lab. And it is going to be interesting because we are going to create, or we are going to establish communication between two completely independent forests on an internal network or an intranet. That is the most interesting part. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next lab. Thank you.
Thank you for watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftakademy.com. www.netsoftakademy.com.